Welcome back to Adventuring with Kate. In this video that you're about to see, I went to an abandoned school with my two friends Henry and Isabella. I was really excited to make this video because I've actually been wanting to go inside the specific building for many years. However, all the doors are locked, all the windows are boarded, and it has surveillance. So, I got into contact with one of the property managers, and he was kind enough to let myself and two of my friends inside the building for just under an hour. Hope you guys enjoy. Rosedale Elementary School was originally built in the early 1920s by an architect named Jules Jacques Benoit Benedict. Benedict's distinguished architecture can be found all throughout the state of Colorado. He's famous for having built the Washington Park Boathouse, the Chief Hosel Lodge, and the Woodbury Branch Library, which are all listed under the National Register of Historic Places. These photos were taken when I visited Rosedale for the second time during the spring of 2016 with my two friends Isabella and Casey. Because all the doors were locked and all the windows were boarded, there was no way of us getting inside. Instead, we marveled at Rosedale's beautiful exterior and the indications of its corrosion over the past 12 years of its vacancy. Casey, Isabella, and I left Rosedale that day with plenty of photos from its exterior, but in the back of our minds we contemplated if we were to ever have the opportunity to actually go inside. Until now. Just over a year later, through many phone calls, I was able to get into contact with one of their property managers. He was kind enough to agree to a day and time where he could take myself and two of my friends inside Rosedale for a maximum of 1 hour. Rosedale Elementary School was originally opened in 1924, but closed in 2005 due to a budget cut made by the school district. In one article I read, the school district saved $300,000 from this budget cut. We met up with the property manager behind the school. He also had a friend who was very keen to see the inside of Rosedale, so he accompanied us along with a gentleman who worked for the school district. I packed respirators, but when I asked about the air quality, they assured me that it was safe, so in this video we aren't wearing our respirators. The property manager unlocked a door behind the building, and he let us inside.
This is like the auditorium, but I'll show the principal.
Auditorium and gym over in here.
Yeah, let's go.
Hey, check this out. This would be the principal's office.
Really? Wow. Look at the dare stuff. I totally remember that. Look, the dare.
Dude, you gotta get a picture of that.
TBT, dude.
The first area that we explored was the administration's office. There were so many keys left behind. Because we were with the property manager, he was able to turn the power on, so you'll notice that in some areas, the rooms are illuminated with light. After we went inside the administration's office, we walked down a long corridor, with dozens of lockers on either side. Then we started going inside classrooms. The remnants left behind were minuscule, yet I found them very nostalgic and made me think of times to when I was once an elementary school student. We came across the nurse's office. It was located pretty close to the administration's office and the principal's office. I found a room that appeared to be what might have been a teacher's lounge at one time. After we checked out those various offices and the teacher lounge, we headed back down that same corridor toward the end where the light was coming from through the windows. At the end of the corridor, we came across a long hallway. On either side, there were many hooks mounted to the walls for hanging clothing and shelves, which I can imagine were once used for cubbies. We walked down a short set of stairs that led us to the long hallway. This portion of the school was actually separate from the original portion of the school built in the 1920s. Instead, it was an expansion that took place in the 1950s. I was fascinated by how the light reflected off of the linoleum floor and the tiles that lined the walls. There were a couple more classrooms at this end of the school, and we went inside each one. Outside each classroom door was a little plaque that had the name of the teacher and what they taught inside that classroom. The first classroom that I went into at this end of the hallway was used for first graders, and the teacher was a Mrs. Ashley. There was a bathroom with 2 stalls directly connected to this classroom. Paintings of cartoons were still in pretty good shape on the walls. But what chilled me the most was when I saw the names of children written on the chalkboard once by the teacher as she gave them their duties as line leaders and messengers for the day. It had never been erased. This area was the back portion of the classroom. I believe that it was mainly used as a play space for the children because on the floor I found what appeared to be fragments from a game of hopscotch. This is another classroom that I went into. It was right across the hall from the first grader classroom. All of the classrooms were very dimly lit because all of the shades were brought down. If you're wondering why you're not seeing any desks or chairs or tables, that's because I was actually informed by the property manager that that's against the fire code and it's a fire hazard to store things of that nature in this building. I was quite captivated by how simplistic the interior of Rosedale was. Despite there being no desks or tables or furniture like that left behind, there were little details. The property manager also told me that this building had been used by the police department for training, and we certainly found evidence of that. At one point, Isabella and I came across a door, and I recognized it as being the same door that she and I had once looked in through from the outside. It was incredible to be able to look out of it from the inside. Shortly after, we climbed a flight of stairs that led us to the second floor. The second floor consisted of a long hallway that was illuminated by the light coming in from the window at the very end of it. On each side of the hallway, there were a few doors leading to classrooms, and adjacent to those doors were many rows of lockers. The light coming in from the end of the hallway offered just enough light to give detail to the doors, lockers, and little plaques outside each classroom. In the doorframe of one classroom, we found markings once written by a teacher to measure the height of his or her students throughout the year. What I found so intriguing about Rosedale was that it was so empty, yet so untouched. It was as if it was left there to naturally decay in its rawest form. Right before we went back downstairs to the first floor, we checked out a bathroom that we had found. We actually had to take turns holding the door and taking pictures because it was so dark in there with the door closed. When we went back down to the first floor, we checked out the other side of the corridor that we hadn't been inside before. This area was a small lunchroom, and just outside of it was the auditorium and the gymnasium. The auditorium consisted of a large empty room with a small kitchen space. The gymnasium was a very large room. A backboard and hoop were at each end. 6 ropes dangled from the ceiling that were once used by children for climbing, and they were tied at each end. I can imagine chalk was used when climbing the ropes, and children's handprints were left on the walls. After we explored the gymnasium, my friends and I followed one of the gentlemen down to the basement, but shortly after, we lost sight of him. In the basement, there were many storage spaces, but the only things left behind were metal and non-flammable, again, to respect the fire code.
Oh, this is kind of where we came from.
For a few minutes, we were exploring the dark basement by ourselves, wondering when we would run into the property manager and the other gentleman again.
We are a team. We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum. Hello? Hi, we were trying to find your friend who let us down here.
Oh, Daryl?
Yeah.
I don't know where he went.
We were hoping that he didn't jump out at us.
Oh.
Because this would be an optimal opportunity to do that. Is he the kind to do that? Jump out?
Who?
Yep, yes he is. Answer.
This is the cafeteria that you guys are standing in.
This is
This
the
was the-
cafeteria.
The cafeteria.
Wow.
You came through the kitchen right here.
Yeah.
Watch your step here.
I was very glad he didn't take up that excellent opportunity to scare myself and my friends. Instead, when we all met back up, we exited the building from the boiler room, which we originally came in from. Thanks so much for watching this video, I really appreciate it. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and as always, keep adventuring.